Hey, folks, my guest today is Jennifer Dulski. She's the CEO and founder of Rising Team, a SaaS company that helps organizational leaders build engaged, connected, and successful teams through authentic team development workshops around key leadership concepts. She's been leading teams for more than 20 years as an executive at both big tech companies and scaling startups, including Facebook, Google, Yahoo, and Change.org. Her lifelong passion is centered on empowering people to reach their full potential. Follow along at risingteam.com. Jennifer, you ready to take us to the top?
I am.
All right. So, hey, just clear the air here for a second. Would you consider this more coaching or is there a SaaS product you've built here, software?
This is absolutely a SaaS product. In fact, there are no humans involved other than the leader of the team that uses our software. So essentially what we do is equip managers to run team development sessions with their teams by following the prompts in our software. It has everything from, warm up to learning goals to an activity to countdown timers, all in the software itself.
Interesting. So what's sort of the kind of thing that would happen where a leader at a company might use? Is it like a team retreat or the monthly all hands call or how
Yeah,
so?
you can use it in any. So we have teams all over the world using this. Sometimes they just set up dedicated time for these sessions. Sometimes they run them at offsites. You can do them remotely or in person. We have two different types of sessions. One are what we call learning kits, which are around all the topics that drive high performing teams like psychological safety and appreciation and so forth. Those sessions take about 2 hours. So you got to block, a little bit of time for them, but we recommend once every 6 weeks. So 2 hours every 6 weeks is less than 1% of your time. And then the second type are what we call connection boosts. These are shorter, so 1 hour, and they're just like deeply understanding each other as human beings. And those can be done anytime.
Okay, very cool. Now, how do you price for something like this? What's the average customer pay you per month to use it?
Yeah, it's a subscription product. So you subscribe and then you get access to all the kits to use however often you want. We do have some bottom up sales. So individual managers, the pricing per team is $99 a month per team. So a team is a manager plus up to 10 people. And then most of our customers actually come in through kind of a top down mechanism where a head of a division or the head of people for a company will want to use Rising Team to increase engagement or scale their talent development. And those deals can be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars when you
How do
get
you
them.
price those? Is it number of heads, head count?
So we have two ways to price it. If it's sort of a partial org, we price it on number of teams. So again, teams of up to lead plus 10, and the pricing goes down as you add more teams, obviously, and as you pay up front. And then when you get to full org, we go to per employee per month pricing.
Full org per, okay. And how do you check that? What if someone says, no, this is just the nine per, I only need 10 seats and I'm one lead. Just give me that one, $99 a month versus, wait a second, that's your whole organization. You should be on the bigger plan.
Yeah, well, we can tell how many employees exist at a certain company. So, and it's actually way more affordable for them to go to the per employee per month. It's actually, that's a better deal for everybody because you get unlimited teams. So if you think about it, when you're paying by team, let's say you want to do yourself and your direct reports, and then you want to run a second team with your cross-functional project folks, or you want to run just another session just to get to know people in the company. If you're paying by team, each one of those would be a separate team you pay for. When you get to per employee, you can do as many teams as you want, mix and match.
I see. Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time. You can see what it changed over the past 88 days and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right. So the teal is what a VC would pay. Yellow is what private equity. And red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise. They sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here, and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. So on that full org model, you threw out, I think, several $100,000 per year for that. Is that like your highest customer? Or is that what you said that's this fair average? Is, $100,000, $200,000 a year?
It really depends on the size of the org. So, if our per employee per month pricing ranges from kind of $6 to $10 per employee per month. So it's going to depend on the size of your org. We have several.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's what I'm trying to get a sense of. Are we talking 1,000-person orgs or 10,000-person orgs or 50-person orgs, right? What's your sweet spot if you had to pick an average?
Yeah, it's so funny. When we thought about our ICP, like who's our ideal customer profile, originally we thought it's kind of mid-size, high growth tech companies, maybe someone with a low Glassdoor score, because what we do is actually really drive employee engagement and retention up. But as it turns out, all these really big companies wanted this too. It's, what's happening in the workplace, as it's just everything's changed. People are hybrid and everybody wants to quit, and, well-being is kind of down. And so, we have customers like the Bank of Hawaii and other kind of multi-thousand person orgs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
at the moment, like our average, if you had to take an average, it's probably, our average contract size right now is probably like $5,000, because we have a lot of people signing up on their own for a single team. And then we have a bunch of people, as I said, in the hundreds of thousands.
That's $5,000 per month, 60 a year.
Probably.
Something like that.
Although yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, what would someone paying you $60,000 a year? How big is their team? Probably.
So again, the way to think about it maybe on average is $100 per person per year.
100 per person per year. Okay, fair. And then the average team signing up with you might be something between, 100 and 500 employees, something like that.
What I would say is it really varies. So the companies where we're signing full orgs, some of them are 2,500, 5,000 people. And then sometimes what happens, usually organizations start with a pilot. So they might say, okay, we'll start with 10 teams, see how it goes. Then they might expand to 100 teams. And then, my hope is that they will expand to all the teams in their org. So sometimes what we have right now are divisions of larger companies. So you might have a 2,000 person division of a 50,000 person company. So I think there's a lot of upside for us there.
Yeah. Well, and that would be a good way to reverse engineer your net dollar retention opportunity, right? Is you've penetrated, but you haven't expanded yet. What's the expansion?
Exactly. And right now we're at 145% net dollar retention so far. So
that's amazing. Congrats. Help me. Let's put this on a timeline so folks can understand trajectory here. When did you write the first line of code for the platform?
So I bootstrapped the company on my own for the first year, 2020. And I actually worked with an agency and built a prototype and tested it with real people. We learned a lot from the prototype. Actually, the first prototype was a tool that managers could use one-on-one with their employees. And what we learned is that it took too much time. People wanted less time and they wanted more team focus, especially in the pandemic era. And so we rebuilt the whole thing as a team-based, team development product that
with the same agency.
No, I hired a team. So
Okay.
I bootstrapped, used an agency, built a prototype, tested it,
Wait, hold on.
realized
How
that
much did you sink? How much did you sink into the agency building the MVP? Are we talking like 10 grand or like 100 grand?
more
More.
like 100. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Was that painful?
It actually wasn't because we were able to reuse a bunch of the things that we built. And we learned so much that by the time I hired a team and we built the product, we kind of knew exactly where to aim it. So I feel like the learning was worth it. I don't know.
That's
Maybe that's also having done, this is not my first startup. So it wasn't like I was just throwing it in the toilet. I knew exactly what I wanted to find out. And I felt like I did learn that.
okay. So you learned. That's good. That's helpful. You learn, then you hire. Now, are you still bootstrapped today, or did you raise?
We raised a $3 million seed round in February of 21.
Okay.
And I am super scrappy with the funding. We still have about $1 million left from that round. And, now we're generating revenue. So we have quite low burn. And
Are you profitable?
not yet, but we're not
Okay.
very far off.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
see a path to profitability here. And
Now,
we
when
may
founders say not far off, if you're Adam Newman, you could be burning 5 million a month, and you're not far off. For others, not far
no,
off
we
is
are,
10K a month, like you're
yeah.
plus or minus 10K a month sort of deal.
No, we're probably more like 100K a month, but
Okay.
honestly, like a few deals and that is done, right?
Yep.
So
Does that make, I mean, let's go back to the macro conditions right now, right? If you've got 1 million in the bank, you're burning 100 grand a month. That's, you could say 10 months of runway. Does that make you nervous right now?
not at all, actually, because we actually got preempted for some additional funding. So we are taking a bit more money now. It's going to get us another 24 months of runway. We
Mhm.
don't need a ton of money to get this thing, to keep growing and get to profitability. So we took, we're going to take the money when people came to us, some strategic folks that I think will be good to have on board.
Less than 3 million though.
Yeah, less.
Okay. Got it. So, I mean, you probably already answered this question because you said they're strategic, but right now would be like obviously a terrible time as a SaaS founder that's growing quickly to take money because the valuations are so compressed. But you just think these folks are so strategic, it's worth it.
Yeah, and we're doing it on a safe, so it has a higher cap, and I think that's
Oh, I
reasonable.
see. I see. Was the 3 million seed capped or priced round?
It was priced.
Oh, interesting. So how does that work when you do a priced round? And then usually it's the other way around, right? You do a priced round, now
I
you're going to do a convertible
know.
note.
I know. I mean, it's just it made sense to do it this way this time, and we have a better sense of where the valuation might go over time, and people are comfortable putting a higher cap on it now. We have much more visibility, less risk. Yeah.
And way more traction, sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Most folks, when they're raising seeds last year, you're selling 15 to 20% in your seed. That's sort of standard. Were you sort of in that same range?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. So you're talking like 15 million-ish valuation, sort of in that range, and the cap that you are now negotiating, you said is better terms than that.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. All right, let's talk more about product, right, and sort of how the team is fueling the product. So, how many folks total are on the team today?
We have 11 full-time people and about 16 if you count the part-timers.
Okay, and how many are engineers?
We have 5 engineers and sort of 2.5 designers. So I would count more than half the team as product development.
Yeah. So what are the engineers working on? Is there any, future products you can talk about or where you see the space going?
Yeah, actually, it's really exciting because what we're doing, so we started by building the software. And again, like the way to think about it is traditional leadership development happens in one of 2 ways. There are what are called learning management systems. These are flat content like Udemy or LinkedIn Learning, where you're watching videos and you're kind of solo doing this learning by yourself. It is really low usage and pretty low satisfaction. And then the alternative is you hire these outside facilitators and they come in and everybody has a great time, but it's expensive, it's hard to scale, and it doesn't have a lot of follow-up built in. And so what our software does is turn every manager into an interactive expert facilitator. So you can get the interactivity, but still have it be at the price of software. And the first version of the product, we were building the content. So, I've been doing this 20 years. I also teach 2 classes at the business school at Stanford. I have all the access to the research on high performing teams. So I started making some of the content. I hired 2 consultants who, one on the DEI side, Dorica Blackman, who's amazing. And we made our own content. The big idea and what we're working on now is platformizing the software so that anybody can create these interactive kits. And that means companies can too. So they have their own philosophies about leadership development. Sometimes they want to use our content, but sometimes they want to use their own. But today what they do is literally they'll like make a 2-page facilitator guide or something, and they give it to people. They have no idea whether it's used or whether it works. Now they can use our platform to create interactive sessions out of their own content. And that's going to be super effective and super sticky.
And you mentioned you get going in 2020 with the agency MVP, some test customers and pilots. What about today? How many, not seats, but how many individual brands? Like I think you said, the Bank of Hawaii, are you working with?
We have 55 logos right now.
55. Okay, wow. And how much like if you added no new customers over the next 12 months, how much additional revenue do you think you can drive just into those 55 customers?
Yeah, I think so. I've run the pipeline. I think over 12 months, it's like $1.5 million to 2 million. And over 3 years, it's like 15 to 20 million just from the customers we have already.
Yeah, that's very cool math to run. Now, can I take, it sounds like you have massive ranges. Some companies have 2 seats or a team license at $99 a month. Others are 2,500 employees and they're paying $100 per employee per year. Yeah. But can we take 55 logos times that ARPU of $5,000 a month? You're doing somewhere around $250,000 a month in revenue today?
No, not quite yet. I would say we are.
Can you break it this year, you think?
I think
next year goal.
Next year is when I would put that.
Very cool. Well, again, it sounds like you have a very healthy motion for expanding accounts. Is that happening in no touch fashion or as part of your 11-person team CS reps that actively drive that expansion?
Yeah, we have a basically 3-person sales/CS team that also includes me. And so we do some hands-on expansion work. Actually, most of the revenue upside, I think, comes from signing the deals and then expanding. Right now, we're converting 60% of demos to deals at some level. So quite on conversion on, getting people to sign up at least for a pilot. And where we need to put more attention is how do we get those pilots to larger rollouts? So we're working with people on like success plans. One of the things that's really helpful is we do pre-post measurement before and after you start using Rising Team. And we can see that after just 3 sessions, 85% of the core engagement scores that we measure are moving in a significant way. So, almost every company out there measures engagement. And what usually happens is like, you get the scores back, you have some gaps, and then you're like, oh, what do we do? It's, let's start a task force or let's go back to the whiteboard. And it's really hard. And so what we're showing is we can actually not just measure it, but move it for you. And that's what's causing people to want to expand. So we're working on building these kind of success plans for people where we track and measure their movement.
And help me understand growth over the past 12 months. You got extra capital last year. Hopefully you were able to reinvest that back in growth. But if you're doing between call it $100,000 and $150,000 a month today in revenue, what were you doing exactly a year ago, if you remember?
Yeah, so we're actually under a little bit what you just said. I mean, a year ago, we were doing 0 revenue.
Okay, so it's like infinite.
Yes, the revenue, started coming in Q4 of last year. And then it grew a little bit in Q1. And then between Q1 and Q2, it like 5x'd, right? Yep. And between Q2 and Q3, it'll 3x again, probably. Yep. And so we're
congrats then on breaking. You in the past couple months, you broke the $1 million run rate. Congratulations on that. That's a big goal.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, hey, look, we're out of time. This is a fascinating story. Obviously rooting for you. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book.
My favorite business book is Gung Ho by Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles. It's a story of what we can learn about business from a Native American folktale about animals.
Wow. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I watch a lot of CEOs. One person I really admires Brian Chesky from Airbnb. I think he's built a really impressive large business in a way that has a meaningful mission behind it. So for instance, the work they do housing refugees and so forth, I think it's a really powerful way to use your business for good.
Number 3, Jennifer, besides your own, what's your favorite online tool for building Rising Team?
I'd say there's sort of internal and external. So the internal tool I think we use the most that I like a lot is Figma. It's so easy to collaborate about how we're building the product. And the external one, I am a big LinkedIn fan. I'm a LinkedIn influencer. I write a lot about leadership. And so we get a lot of leads that way.
That's great. Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I would say I aim for 8, and I might even stay in bed for 8 hours, but I don't sleep all that time. I have
Fair enough.
Racing, yeah.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
I am married. I have 2 awesome daughters. They are all grown up, 22 and 20.
Wow. Okay, you're super busy then. And then, do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 50 years old.
Amazing.
And I just read a stat that founders in their 50s are like 3 times more likely to be successful than founders.
I believe it. You have more,
Right.
You just have more experience than all of us. I get it. Take us home here. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
Yeah, I think I wish I knew. I spent a lot of time in my 20s thinking about what other people thought about me. And I wish I knew that everyone is too busy thinking about themselves to be thinking about me.
That's a good one, guys. Risingteam.com, a more effective way to help all of your teams learn faster. They've signed up 55 logos to date, tens of thousands of seats and folks using the platform already to date. Just broke the $1 million mark in terms of run rate, which we love, and pretty capital efficient. $3 million raised on their seed. Still a lot of that money in the bank with a path to profitability. Team of 11, 5 engineers. There's a lot of tech behind this platform. Check it out, risingteam.com. Jennifer, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thanks so much, Nathan.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.